Well, thank you for joining the Grim and Bloody podcast. Glad you're with us on this Sunday evening. Today we have Nancy Ann Ritter, who starred in 1996 Wes Craven Scream. Thank you for joining the show, Nancy.
Thank you guys for having me. Anthony,
it's an absolute pleasure.
Kevin,
Thank you.
Joe, and Al.
Who?
Yes. Yeah. You did the
later.
introductions for me.
I'm sorry.
And Anthony, to correct, because Nancy Ann took a moment to remind me of it when I tried to call her a star of Scream. She said, no, bathtub girl.
The girl in the bathtub.
Girl in the bathtub.
Was it the girl in the bathtub, or?
It's
I read
girl
the girl
in bathroom.
room.
It's girl.
Room, some room, any room.
But she said bathtub girl. I'm going with it.
Okay,
I'm
you're
going
in the
with
spicy scene. I didn't realize there was a spicy scene in Scream. That must have been winding up on the cutting room floor.
See,
Something like that.
I say forget.
That was the version that was hidden behind the curtains. I couldn't see because I was only 16.
Forget
behind the curtain.
Yeah, you had to go
Guys,
behind
I
the
say-
curtains in the DVD store.
Forget Nev Campbell. Forget Courtney Cox. Forget David Arquette. Matthew Lillard. It is a Nancy Ann Ritter movie. I'm standing by it.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and introduce my horror host, the lovely Al Omega,
Who?
host Creature Feature Show. How you doing, Al?
I'm doing good.
Joe Flynn, Create TV, award-winning producer. How you doing today, Joe?
Doing fantastic. And happy Father's Day, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. And one and only Kevin Nickelson, writer for We Belong Dead magazine, Horror Newsnet, and recent visitor of Sinister Creature Con.
Good fun. And and it's and a fan of the bathtub girl.
And there you go.
Bathtub girl, I love her. Bathtub girl.
Nancy Ann Ritter was the girl in the bathroom
Thing
in
between her
1996
toes.
Scream. But she also has new works that we have the pleasure of talking about, as well as her experiences so far on the horror convention scene. Nancy, where do you want to start? Because we're big fans of Scream. We love the original. We loved all the sequels. I think most of us here have watched the reboot, right? Yeah, for pretty much. I thought it stayed true to the original. But let's talk about your experience on set with Wes Craven. And particularly, I think there's a little bit of a story behind your audition and who you stood in for. Is that right?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I just had moved to Los Angeles, so I was about 22, and gone to Northwestern University just outside of, in Evanston, just outside of Chicago. And when I moved to LA, his assistant, would you send me one of your Coronas through the screen? Oh, refresh.
If I could, I would.
No.
Not just you, send it to us all. Come on, you know.
Come on, right.
Nobody
So
wants
that's true.
Corona through the screen.
We have a show in person, beer all around.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a beer round.
I will supply.
Okay.
But
We do a show in person. The beer will be all around. Yeah. We're going to be, some of it will go in our mouth, but you know.
I am a projectile vomiter, so
Oh shit!
You know that now.
That's good to know.
Let me
okay.
sit behind Kevin.
So we can't see his face.
On the next Inside Edition,
Watch
Nancy Ann Ritter
lose her shit.
talks about her
So-
projectile vomiting.
We got through those quick. That might be a world record.
We got right into it.
Oh yeah.
So my friend at the time, Julie Pleck, and her last name Plec, was Wes Craven's assistant. So a few months before shooting started, so I think right at the beginning of 1996, she called me randomly and she said, "How tall are you?" And I said, "I'm 5'7". And she said, "That's great." She said, "Wes Craven has narrowed down the role of Sydney to 5 actresses, and the average height of the five actresses is 5'7". And would I be the same for Sydney on that audition day of those 5 actresses? And I said, sure. And she's like, we'll pay you $75. And I was like, oh, yes. And look at Al's face. And
hey, man.
I just laughed that now looking back at the time, I was like, yeah, $75. Right. So he had all 5 there, and well, they all came in separately. So, and Nev was one of the girls. The 5 girls, like Brittany Murphy was one of the 5 girls. Nev Campbell, of course, who is perfect as Sydney. Alicia Witt, a girl named Megan Ward, and then a girl named AJ Lang. So halfway through the day, I just stood behind Wes Craven, like a few feet behind him, because he had a good view of his monitor. And then the 2 scenes that he was doing were the scene where Skeet crawls in her window and they have a little rated G on top of the nightgown action. And then the second scene is when the killer calls Nev. And so I just kind of stayed invisible. And then halfway through the day, Wes Craven whips around to me and he goes, do you know the lines to the 2 scenes? And since I'd been watching each of the actresses go, I said yes. And he gave me the 2 little scenes in the script. And he said, we'll go over the lines. And he ran to check on one of the actors and then came back in, and he had me do the whole scene, that whole bedroom scene, with a stand-in for Skeet's part. And I think that male stand-in went on to play Stephen Orth, who plays Drew Barrymore's poor boyfriend who's gutted by the swimming pool. So Wes had us go through the whole scene. So I just did my own little take on it. I wasn't auditioning, but just my little stamp, or what, Nancy Ann's stamp, whatever. And then I did the phone call scene with the killer. And right when I finished, Wes beelined up to me and he put his hand out and he goes, that was excellent. And then he left the space one last time, and as he was leaving, he raised his hand up and he was like, have her read for one of the bathroom girls. And at that point, Lisa Beach, the casting director, came running over and she said, once we finish casting the main characters, she said, we'll start bringing actors in for the smaller characters. And so that's how all that happened. And then maybe it's so long ago, but maybe a month later or so, they initially had me read for the cheerleader, which I was I'm so not a blonde cheerleader. And so I was terrible in what was Joe doing? Oh, cheering. Give me an S, give me a C, give me an R.
Yes,
Joe's our cheerleader.
Yes, go,
pay him in
team,
pom-poms.
go.
So Wes Craven was actually in the audition, which is very rare when you first audition, but he was there, his producing partner, the casting director. And when I went to shake Wes's hand, he started bowing to me, and I thought, what voodoo spell have I put on Wes Craven? But I wasn't wearing a cheerleading outfit. I had a little mini skirt like a cheerleader wears, and I had a little baby doll t-shirt that said girls rule. So I know that's why I was like, oh, that's why he's bowing. So I'm a little, it takes me a while to pick up on things. So the audition was terrible. But they called and they said, Wes really wants to put you in the movie. And initially, I think I don't know if you remember the party scene at the very end. There's a blonde girl and then a curly, dark brown hair girl who are kind of, and they have a few lines. They're fawning over Courtney Cox. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was going to be, I was going to play one of those 2 girls. And then Wes Craven pushed the shooting schedule, rearranged it, and pushed the bathroom scene shooting it, I think, right after Drew Barrymore's, her scene took like 5 days. So then they called and they said, would you be the girl in bathroom? I wish I were called to be the girl in bathtub, but I was called to be the girl in bathroom. And I said yes. And they literally had, that was like on a Tuesday, and I was on a plane the very next day on a Wednesday. We had Thursday, Leonora, who's perfect as the blonde cheerleader, had her hotel room next to mine. So we had Thursday to kind of meet each other and get to know each other and work on the scene. And then by that Friday, we were on the set. And I don't remember, I feel like Henry Winkler was there the day we shot because they had done his getting stabbed scene, and then he had lunch with us. And I think we started shooting maybe at 1:00, and we were maybe done maybe by 7 or 8. So it was fast. And then Wes kept us through the weekend just in case he needed to do any pickup shots on that Monday, but he got everything he needed. So it was nice to still be up there, up in Santa Rosa, just north of San Francisco. It's so pretty. And then I flew home on a Tuesday, and I answered you a long time. Oh, but so Wes Craven, Anthony, were you wanting to also know about what it was like to be with Wes Craven?
I'm kind of blown away. I didn't realize, or maybe I've overlooked it, that Scream was shot in Santa Rosa.
Yes, and I remember they had me on a plane from Burbank to Oakland, and then they had a driver, and it's all so fuzzy.
Oh, it's okay. I know it's 25 years ago.
No. I just wish. So from Oakland, like Santa Rosa was just north of Petaluma.
Right.
I think Santa Rosa from San Francisco,
We're all local boys,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Oh, do you? Yes.
Yeah, we're all California guys. Northern
Is
California
Joe?
guys.
Does Joe live near Santa Rosa?
No, I live in San Jose.
Joe's
Which
about
is-
4 hours, about what, 2.5 hours
Yeah.
south.
Two-
I am
yeah.
about 3 hours north of Santa Rosa.
Oh,
I
you
think
are? Okay.
Al might be the closest.
Where is Al? I see
Al's muted.
moving.
Al, unmute.
I got muted.
You're the
I'm in
closest, right, Al?
Sacramento, and
Yeah,
Al is
I'm
in
about an hour out.
Yeah.
I'm right next to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right
you're
smack
there.
in the middle of all of us.
Yeah.
So Al, did you know that it shot there?
Yes, I am aware it shot there.
Yeah. So we stayed at the so Anthony, I'm so glad. I'm excited that you're just hearing that it shot there for the first time, Anthony.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm glad
It
to
is.
share something new.
Well, thank you. Yes.
So I never had been. At that point I'd never been to Northern California. So it was just really exciting. We stayed. Well, I wonder if Al would know. We stayed in the DoubleTree in Well, I know we were in the Sonoma wine country. So the DoubleTree had like different separate little buildings. So you either the Cabernet building, the Burgundy building, and just all of that. I was just in kind of a hog heaven. I was just so excited.
It is beautiful out there.
Yeah.
It is.
So different from Los Angeles, just
You can't see the air or anything.
right. Right. It's just the great, it's so totally different and just beautiful. I remember, I think on that Saturday we went to the Russian River. Is there a place?
Yeah, that's it. The Russian River. Yeah.
Okay. Right as I said it out loud, I was like, wait a minute. But I can say, yes, so really beautiful. So that was the only thing I thought when I saw Scream 5, which I did finally see. Then I know it's not really called Scream 5, but I did finally see the new Scream. I need to watch it again because it was during like a live watch party on a guy's podcast show or whatever. But I was wistful because they shot in Wilmington, they shot the new Scream in North Carolina, I want to say in Wilmington. I was wistful that they were using Carolina to stand in for Santa Rosa, and they built.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Cost of filming out here is enormous.
So yeah. I was hoping. I know they built Stu's house. Like Stu's house in the first Scream is really a house that's still there. But I know in North Carolina they built a replica of the house, like on a sound stage, I think. I wasn't in the latest Scream, so I don't want to be talking out of my ass. But
well, it's their loss.
It's there. That's right. The bath. We didn't die, the cheerleader and I. So
that's true. You didn't.
That's a spin-off waiting to happen.
It is. But it was so getting to meet Wes Craven, who you would just knowing that he's this penultimate horror film director. Right. He was the most gentle, just loveliest spirit and man that I really had probably ever been around. I've been acting since I was 9, and I've worked with a lot of directors, mostly growing up in professional theater, but I just hadn't never been around someone a director like he was, just very calm and cool and collected, and just kind of been nicer from that stand-in day all the way through.
What were your impressions of your fellow cast?
Well, so who I got to know, of course, who I became the closest with was Leonora, who played the blonde cheerleader. So she and I became good friends. And Nev, they shot her reaction shots to our mean little dialogue on a separate day. So she wasn't there that day. So it was just me. Well, obviously just me and the cheerleader. So the cheerleader and I became the closest. And then at the time, the cheerleader was living with Skeet Ulrich in real life. So they were in the process of moving up into a little place in the Hollywood Hills. So that when we were up there shooting, Skeet had just arrived. And the first time I met him was just at a lunch, just the three of us. And then David Arquette made a grand entrance at this lunch, and he was dressed to the nines. And Skeet's very down to earth, like just very chill. And David Arquette was just so colorful and bigger than life. And so that was a fun little meeting. But so, yeah, of the main cast, Skeet was the one I got to know the best through Leonora, the cheerleader. Like I spent Thanksgiving with them and other little parties. And so like Drew Barrymore, like after we finished filming our scene, the next thing I went up for was the wrap party. And then after that, the cast and crew screening, and then the premiere. So outside of the cheerleader, Skeet was who I got to know best. I know I've already said that. Henry Winkler was super nice. I think he's such an amazing actor. So I couldn't believe how cool and normal he was. Courtney Cox. They all were lovely. Just the only interchanges or exchanges I had were with a few of them. Like Courtney Cox at the rap party, she got up and played the drum, put her hair in a ponytail and started playing the drums, and she's a really good drummer. So at the end, like she was coming off and we all had been sitting together, and I was like, "You're a really good drummer, Courtney Cox," and paraphrasing, but she was like, "Oh no, I was really off my game tonight." I hadn't drunk so much at the rap party. I might have more fun stories to tell you, but I had so much to drink. And when we left the little jazz club where we all were, we went back to the DoubleTree, and we ended up in someone's hotel room. I couldn't tell you whose, and it was just your standard hotel room with 2 double beds, and the whole cast and crew, we were in somebody's room. And
if you were in Skeet Ulrich's room, I want to know details.
Well, no, I do know. It was just, I know.
This is the hot and steamy part of the show.
I know that all that Leonora told me with Skeet's room is that he had decorated his room with like all I think, serial killer posters or like scary posters that he just plastered all over the wall is what the cheerleader telling me. So we weren't in this room because I would have recognized the posters. But what made me laugh is I'm not a smoker, but I had a pack of cigarettes and I'm smoking away. And Wes came up and he was like, "Can I have one?" And I was like, "Sure." And everyone was just kind of lounging on the beds, we weren't naked and having an orgy. But I got so drunk that I went home with some boy who claimed that he worked security on the set. And so I didn't stay in the hotel because I know that would have been, so I only stayed in the hotel room with everyone maybe the first 45 minutes. So I'm sad because I would have had so many fun stories, but I had too much of the alcohol. So
Was there any projectile vomiting involved?
There was projectile vomiting of cum, but not that night.
Okay.
Now, am I allowed to get this, Randy?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You know,
absolutely.
I marked the show not for kids, and it's about time I use it.
Oh, good.
We are unrated. We are unrated.
Yeah.
There's been a horror show, mostly PG stuff, other than a beer.
We actually had a show where we started mentioning about Brazilian fart porn.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a real thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I Google it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Kevin will send it to you.
But Nancy, I had a question in regards to Scream. And researching the movie, because I've been very fascinated. I love Wes Craven. I love all of his work. But this was one of the first horror movies that, I'm not even talking about the bidding war between the studios. This was one of the first horror movies that went out of their way to bring on bigger names onto the production. They wanted to make sure that it had established talent. So when your experience on the set, and knowing that there's a lot of big names on here, was there a certain type of energy when you went on? You can kind of feel like this electricity, like we're on to something good here. Even though it had a modest budget, I mean, the movie killed it in theaters and spawned a massive franchise. And it spanned, it was originally called Scary Movie, which Wayans Brothers took, and they made a hit franchise out of it. So when you walked onto the set, did you kind of feel something like, I'm a part of something, no matter how big or small my role is, I'm a part of something really good here?
Yeah, I think, can I just say, I keep hearing feedback because my brain isn't so sharp, which I'm joking, but not joking. I keep hearing like some feedback or something. Are you guys hearing it on your end?
That might be my fan.
Oh, it might, maybe my volume's too loud.
Let's see.
See, it's a problem. It's a problem when there's a tech issue and the fault is your producer.
No, it could. I may have had it too. I may have had the sound too high.
I'm joking about our producer.
Well, see, it was a weird. It's something weird.
Oh, might be a background. I kind of hear too. Like a background television. Anybody have a background television on? It sounded like dialogue. No? Okay.
I'll just try and do my best to sound as articulate as
yeah, there it is. Now that you mentioned, now I hear it. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know what that's from. I'm looking at the mics in Zoom and...
Don't look at me.
Oh, Al, I think it's coming from you a little bit. Do you have any feedback as far as any dialogue coming back, like a external speaker?
No, nothing.
Okay.
It's odd. It happens.
Maybe it could also be gremlins.
I'll do my best to focus.
It is the gremlins, we tell you.
And it could, it just sounds like an echo. I'll make sure. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. It's Wes having fun with the bathtub girl.
With the bathtub girl. God, I wish that were my character's name. Oh, that just lends itself to just.
Don't worry, I'll cut all this out. But did you want to start again? From when I asked
Okay.
the question about walking on set with your initial.
Oh yeah,
feelings.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I remember when I read the script, which was titled at that time A Scary Movie. I remember reading it, and it was a page turner. And at that point, I didn't know who was cast in the movie. And my getting cast happened so fast, so I really wasn't. I was very excited, but because I never had done a movie, I was so nervous, like hugely, hugely nervous. So I didn't. Again, I was excited, but I just was trying so much to focus on just not fucking up. And if you ever whisper, if you ever hear me whisper, it's only because my 85 and 82-year-old mom and dad are upstairs, but they're asleep. But I won't be living here forever. But if you hear me whisper, that's why. I did know what a big deal it was, but I just wanted to make sure I could deliver what I needed to deliver. So I guess it wasn't until afterwards, kind of as that weekend progressed, and more when I went up for the wrap party. That was when it started, because the whole cast and the crew were there, and that the editors had edited together. Well, they had a blooper reel that was hilarious, and then they made 3 little tribute reels to Drew Barrymore, Courtney Cox, and Henry Winkler that were really, not to sound cheesy, but they were really beautiful tributes, like starting when Drew Barrymore played Gertie in E.T., and then it just takes you through her whole arc of her career, and then the same with Henry Winkler. And that's when it really started to just hit me what a big deal this was going to be. At that point, I still hadn't seen the movie, so all I knew was seeing Henry Winkler with the bloody principal's shirt, and then just our scene in the bathroom, and then hearing from Leonora spent a lot of time, the cheerleader, up with Skeet while he was filming, and occasionally would come back to LA, and she would give me reports on how everything was going. Her main thing that I thought was funny was whenever they were doing the end party scene and he was being stabbed, he would come into the hotel room and she'd already be in bed, and he would take a shower to get all the blood off, and then he would get in bed, and Leonora, I'll just say, and the cheerleader would be like, "Ugh, you stink. That blood is the worst smelling," because I can't remember what they used for the blood, but whatever it was, the cheerleader was just like, "Go back in the shower." And Skeet was like, "I've already rubbed all the skin off of my body. There's nothing, I don't have anything left I can rub off." So just little funny stories like that. But so first the wrap party is when I felt that excitement. And then at the premiere, the cast and crew screening was just a small little cast and crew screening, so it was just intimate. Then the premiere was in a huge theater in LA, and getting to see it with an audience who were seeing the film for the first time, that was a really magical experience. I had a roommate who was an acting class friend of mine from college, and he's a guy, and he was full on screaming. I know you're not supposed to say now with everything, I'll just say screaming like a girl. Like, he was just screaming, and I was dying. I was laughing through the whole thing because I knew where the scares were, but it's such a good movie that even seeing it a few times, well, before the premiere, I'd only seen it once, but it's such a fun, as you guys know, it's such a fun movie. But getting to watch it with my roommate sitting next to me, letting out blood-curdling screams, just had me cracking up through the whole thing. And then the rest of the audience, too, who didn't know what to expect, especially with that opening Drew Barrymore scene.
Yes.
And she's... Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, no one was expecting poor Drew Barrymore to get gutted like a fish in like the very first couple of minutes of the movie.
Right. No, when I remember reading, I remember reading the script, but not at that point didn't know it was going to be Drew Barrymore. So then when I found out, which was after reading, maybe a couple months after reading the script, I just thought, oh my, they're going to kill their biggest star in the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie. And then the audience is going to be like, what the fuck? You've just killed Drew Barrymore. Now that means all bets are off. Anything at this point can happen.
Like a page right out of Psycho.
Well,
right?
that was his tribute to Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Right there.
I don't know. With Janet Leigh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And of course, this movie was also, as everyone will say, it's basically homage to John Carpenter's Halloween, because they're like going like, we want to make it scary, but not super bloody, but still, we want to, give that film like the Halloween film.
Yeah.
And on top of it, have a sense of humor about it. That was only Wes Craven's wicked sense of humor.
Yeah.
But he I think he understands. When you watch Scream, you see he understands what his audience likes. As far as horror, a little bit of gore, not too much. Suspense, what's around the corner, what's coming out, and twisted, dark humor.
Yeah.
Let's have jokes about the corpse and all this stuff, and let's have some fun with with it. And you realize, and at the end of the day, when you're through watching and you're realizing this is a Wes Craven film. It's a Wes Craven film.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what how did you while you were filming this, what did you think about if this film was going to have some staying power, to it?
When I first read the script, it was a page turner, and if I'm honest, because I was so new to LA and I was just struggling and trying to pay my rent and my bills, I didn't think about it so much at the time. Like, oh, is this going to be a big blockbuster? I really didn't think about that at all. I did think about that when I read the script, and then kind of put that on the shelf. And then just as it got closer to the time of that December 20th opening date in 96, and seeing it for at the Cast Crew screening, the premiere, and I flew home to Alexandria, Virginia for Christmas, and we took a bunch of I was raised in the Catholic Church, so we took a bunch of our church, like a bunch of my childhood friends. We're not Bible beaters or anything, but my parents brought the church friends and like my mom's sewing group, and I was like, have you told them what's going to be happening in this movie? And she's like, oh yes, they know.
At what point did you realize you were going to hell? On this, during that trip.
Yeah, right. My childhood piano teacher was there, a bunch of our neighbors. So that once it was opened and just going on that ride, like I remember my uncle, I went to a cousin's wedding in Texas, and my uncle had saved his Scream ticket stubs. And right when he saw me the first time that weekend, he was like, I want you to sign each ticket stub. And so it was more just seeing the reactions of friends and family, and then just hearing about people going to the movie theater for the first time to see it, just all that excitement. And then, so all of that was exciting. And then when Scream 2, I saw Scream 2 in the movie theaters, and then 3 and 4 I haven't seen yet. And like the 3 and 4, I think, were during my really bad marriage to the physically abusive psycho husband. And the 4th one, I remember the Biography Channel reached out to me in 2011 to see. They said, could we use your bathroom scene? They called me and the cheerleader not for their little hour-long documentary, like a little chunk of the bathroom scene, just to show, like, the cheerleader has such wicked, funny dialogue in that scene. So there was that, like, little reaching out of people. What kind of was amazing to me was a booking agent reached out to me this fall and said the horror conventions, they're fans that would love to meet you. And I was like, you do know I play the bathtub girl, aka the bathroom girl. I said, I have about 7 or 8 lines. I said, at conventions, first of all, I didn't know there were horror conventions. I only had ever known about Comic-Con in San Diego. So I didn't know there was this niche convention scene. And then I said, well, surely they're just interested in Nev and Skeet and Matthew Lillard, the main people of the cast. And the booking agent was like, oh no. He said, what the convention goers want, or once they get the main cast's autographs, then they want all the small parts people's autographs, and because you're in the first one that was made, there's just so much excitement because the 25th anniversary, as you guys know, was on December 20th, 1996, and then the new, I'll just say Scream 5, and then Scream 5 coming out January 14th, 2022. There was all this renewed excitement, but I couldn't. And then that's how basically when Kevin reached out, once the agent reached out, then via Facebook, my Facebook friend number went from like 800 to like, now it's like close to 4,700. I do not count.
Right.
But it's all horror. Just the horror community just gobbled me up in a nice way. And I remember Kevin, I've done a ton of interviews, and then I just did 2. I'm going to be doing, Kevin, I think he's in Sacramento. I'm going to be doing a convention in Sacramento. I just did my first 2.
Congrats.
Thank you, Joe.
So we just had Sinister Creatures Con.
Yeah, I'm curious
yesterday.
which one you're going to be doing next.
Okay, so the next one, and then I'll tell you something about my agent. So the next one is one in Youngstown, Ohio, called Mahoning Valley Comic-Con, and it's July 9th and 10th. And so there's that one, and I'm going to shoot a little, while I'm there in Ohio, an independent horror filmmaker had filmed a film. Boy, I'm really on it tonight.
You got it.
He just finished filming a film that he wrote and directed. But when he had wanted me in it from the beginning, but couldn't make it happen. But when he saw I was going to be at the convention in July, he's like, I'm going to write a scene and just tack it onto the movie just so you can be in it. And so we're going to shoot it the couple nights that I'm there in Ohio.
Oh, that's cool.
And then after that one, then after that one, my agent's trying to get me into Monster Mania because Nev, Matthew Lillard, Skeet, Jamie Kennedy, and Lee Waddell, stunt person. Did I say his last name?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're having Scream reunions. So my agent,
really?
They just did out here in Pasadena.
Oh, yes.
Monsterpalooza.
Yeah. They were all in Burbank.
In Pasadena. Is it mainly, what I've been seeing is that it's usually Nev, Skeet, Matthew Lillard, and the 3 of them, I think, talked to Kennedy and joining them. And then sometimes Roger Jackson, obviously the ghost face.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nev said, we have to have bathroom girl here.
We have to.
Because
I've heard nothing but that she
rumblings.
Is one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet in Hollywood.
She on that
and a beautiful lady.
I think she's gorgeous. The moment I first saw her in Party 5, I just thought that is just a beautiful gal. And of the on her screen test day, she was I just stood off to the side, but there was a little bit of wait time that Nev had. So she started just visiting with me, and, I would not, bother her, but I just remember she was just so relaxed and so nice. And it was just a brief exchange, but she initiated that. And she just was so normal and down to earth. And
I'm so saddened that she will not be in Scream 6.
See, in Scream 6. Don't you think
this is going to be a Scream 6?
Yes,
yeah,
we're working on it. We're working on it.
Why wouldn't
Anthony, don't you know? You're the director. No, I'm joking.
She's turned it down, my understanding was.
Oh.
But do you think that so Jamie Kennedy has a podcast, and he came in defense of Nev and Matthew Lillard, that apparently there are these two guys, not the radio silence guys, the two directors and two writers, but two executives at Paramount, this is what Jamie Kennedy says, that are not wanting to pay her what she should be getting paid. And so Nev said, but now I'm wondering, maybe it's a publicity thing, just because the fans are just in an uproar. Like, how can you have Scream without Sydney? Which I personally agree with. But I'm wondering, because they were supposed to start filming, I think maybe a month ago, or maybe a few weeks ago in North Carolina, and then it got delayed. So I don't know if they're now trying to work out something with her salary wise.
I think you have to try.
Right.
She's a star.
Yeah.
Right.
She is an integral part of this series. And the other thing is, from what I have read, she wants to do it.
Yeah.
She loves the character. She wants to continue with it. And let her do. I had heard that money was an issue regarding that she wasn't being paid comparatively what other male stars are paid and so forth. She needs to get what she's worth on it. And I'm like you. I followed her since the very beginning of Party of Five, and fell in love with her. Then my first reaction when the Scream film came was coming out was how could this beautiful, this innocent, young lady, Nev Campbell, be in a horror film and be stalked by and then you find out she's being stalked by a killer and all this stuff. I kind of felt like I wanted to jump into the film action myself and try to help her out.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, that's an amazing.
Yeah.
That's a testament, I think, to her. Yeah. Wonderful script, her wonderful acting and embodiment of Sydney, and then how Wes and she worked together. But I definitely actually had that same feeling. And to me, like Matthew Lillard or Jamie Kennedy said that the whole point of Scream, to them, in their opinion, is Ghostface continually trying to hunt Sydney down. So that if you don't have Sydney, then, to me, I guess, in my opinion, then don't call it Scream. Then just make another movie with those young new actors and call it something different.
Very true. That's how I look at it. Don't get me wrong. Like, you take Scream, the franchise, you take the Halloween franchise with the Laurie Strode's character. If you don't have either one in the film, call it something else, and don't even try to go near and go like, oh yeah, we just want to keep making these films,
Call it Season of the Witch and see what happens.
Yes.
Right.
And you get killed.
Every sequel makes money except the last one.
That's true. But I had a question for you, Nancy. You touched on it already. Thank you for the segue. But it was regards to your involvement now in the horror convention scene. And And right now you're speaking to four very huge fans of horror. We love it. And we're happy to speak with anybody who's involved with the horror filmmaking scene. So I think it's a combination of you being in one of the most beloved horror movies of all time, and then now kind of getting your feet wet in the independent horror. You're going to have a lot of questions when you go to the horror conventions, because now not only are they going to be known for this movie, but you're starting other movies as well. So what are your thoughts as far as being, I don't know if you've been overwhelmed yet. At least it sounds like on your Facebook you might have. But when you go to conventions, the horror fans, we go way beyond the movie. We go beyond the extra content on the Blu-ray. We really like knowing what happened, in the inception of the movie. We like hearing about what happened behind the scenes, right?
Anthony, some would say that we go beyond sanity.
We go beyond sanity. It go crazy. It go crazy. We'll dress up as our favorite characters, just like Marvel, but we want to know every piece of what happened in this film, because at least for my sake, it brings us closer to the movie. Like we become maybe like cohesive or whatever you want to call it. But we have this kind of, it can be a little over zealous sometimes, especially with Scream 6 and Nev no longer being it. That creates a lot of negative backlash that can kill the box office receipts, especially when longtime fans such as ourselves realized that they were going to shortchange Nev Campbell after she's been in so many of the sequels, and basically it's synonymous. It's like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, right? If she's willing to do Aliens, you're making sure that Sigourney Weaver is in Aliens until she turns it down, right? It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. Eventually, he fucked that up. But he was game. And if Arnold Schwarzenegger is game to do Terminator, you're putting him in there, right? So it's the same with Nev Campbell and Scream. For me, it's a shock. This is a live reaction. I did not hear about that. And I'll be the first to say, I'm not going to go fucking watch that movie if they were going to shortchange the biggest name in the franchise. But you're probably also going to hear about that as well. And I just warn you that we can get a little when it comes over, but it's in a good way.
Anthony, I will say that I agree with Nancy. I know that I don't think this story is over.
No.
You could very well, as Nancy Ann mentioned, there is a delay in filming right now for the next Scream. You can bet that they're working on something where they can assuage Nev Campbell and get her on board and turn it into an advertising thing that Nev Campbell will return as Sidney Prescott in Scream 6. And so that could very well happen. It has happened before in Hollywood. I remember quite famously where Pierce Brosnan was calling it, announced to all of media that he was calling it quits after The World Is Not Enough for James Bond, and he was tired, and he was, not wanting to go through the rigors of that. A few weeks later, there's an announcement that comes out that Pierce Brosnan has accepted a new contract with some some $7 million or something increase in salary to return as James Bond. And what does he say to the media then? I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I'm refreshed. I'm ready. Let's go.
Here we go, Nancy.
Anyway.
Here's a great question too. For you, going to a convention, I remember I was reading online about the young lady who played Judith Myers from Halloween. People wanted to meet her. They wanted to find out, hey, why isn't she at a convention? And so finally, they were able to convince her to go to a convention and go like, hey, my first ever convention. Wow. And she never, just like you, didn't think there's a horror convention and people are horror fans want to meet me. And you go like, whoa,
What you don't realize, Nancy Ann, is that there's a lot of people like myself who are fans who would go to a convention, not necessarily to just see, because everybody and their child wants to go see the main headliner, the main star of a convention. But I feel like I can go to, the other actors for a film who are at the same convention and have much more interesting, meaningful conversations, with them. And I feel like I would have that same kind of, thing with you, to be able to chat with you at your table about this film or about your work. And that's what drives fans like me.
Well, and the last convention I did a few weeks ago was Carolina Fear Fest in Raleigh, North Carolina. And some of the most, what's been, again, that was my second convention, but what's been so meaningful and unexpected is just, even if people come by and they're not looking for a head, they aren't looking to have a selfie with me or get a signed picture. I just love meeting and the fans and some, like I said, don't want, aren't looking for, like I said, the selfie or the picture, but they just have questions, like they're just diehard fans of the movie and have questions. And I love that, just having those interactions with all different types of fans. And I like I like to answer every question that I can answer. And it's just fun, like you all were saying, and Anthony was saying at the beginning of talking about the convention, just how excited they are to be able to talk to someone like me who loves answer anything that I can answer, I will answer.
So if I come up and bring up projectile vomiting and stinky blood, you'll know.
I'll know exactly.
That's
you know who we are.
Stinky blood.
You'll
know
know Kevin.
Podcast.
That's got to be the name of a production company. Stinky.
Probably.
We'll form a band.
Take it.
Stinky Blood Productions. Yeah.
I'm there. I'll bring up the whole blowjob thing. So,
Oh, there you go.
I don't forget that.
That wasn't us, though.
Just shout to everybody at the convention. She offered us blowjobs. What did she offer you?
Hey, Nancy, I heard you suck dick.
Wait, David, were you about to say David Chappelle? No, wait, what?
Huh?
Wait, what were you about to say?
No, I had a really dirty joke I probably shouldn't have said.
No, tell me.
If someone walks up to you, say, "Hey, Nancy, I heard you suck dick this stuff." You just said it. I don't know where you heard that from. But those guys are crazy.
Wait, who? Did someone already ask me?
No, I'm just saying it's sarcastic.
Oh, we heard.
Would you like
right.
other people to ask?
Someone just happens to walk
that.
up to a convention 6 months from now.
Just do what I say. That was a long time ago. I needed the work.
The money.
I needed the money.
Rent due.
Now I'm even worse. Now I think I'm even, because I'm 49 and I lost so much time with the bad husband. Now I really am feeling like, I'm willing to do handies, blows, whatever it takes, so that I don't have to work. I've always had to work a day job.
You should know the horror community is usually guys that are, not sleeping in their mom's basements, but they're pretty single for the most part.
Pretty single.
That's the thing.
Yes.
This is a decade of very ugly men.
And what other podcasts about horror talk about handies, blowjobs, Brazilian fart porn?
I'm the one that brought it up the first time here.
Yeah, see?
It's been a fun time.
That's it.
The one memory, well, speaking of blowjobs, after that first time, after that Friday shooting the bathroom scene, we drank with some of the crew guys, and the guy who played Kenny, W. Earl Brown, who played Courtney Cox's cameraman, he was having drinks with us. Again, I drank too much alcohol, and I went back to one of the lighting guys' hotel room and he was about my age. And I remember I was still a virgin. So I remember his like penis was above me and going in my mouth. And right as it was going in my mouth, I was like, don't come in my mouth. Don't come in my mouth. Right as I'm saying that, he comes in my mouth. And then I'm like foaming at the mouth. And the timing of it, the timing of it just cracked me up. Don't come in my mouth. Don't come in my mouth. And then he couldn't. There it came. That's a very vivid memory from Scream.
I imagine.
That is so awesome.
But I will say, okay, the next convention, am I allowed to tell you guys the next conventions?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
please.
You said something about Sacramento. You were going to be in Sacramento?
Yeah.
Yes. For some reason, I do this with my hands a lot, and I don't know why. But yes, I do. Okay, so then after Ohio, then my agent's trying to slip me into Monster Mania since the Scream people will be there, and then Maryland Pop and Horror Convention in Baltimore. That's a definite. Then Tidewater Horror Convention in Norfolk, Virginia. Then in Sacramento, that's September 25th. Oh God, what is that one called? I have my book right here. California. Oh Lord. California Republic Comic-Con, and that's September 25th. And then I have another one in North Carolina, Fayetteville Comic-Con, October 15th and 16th. And then there's possibly Crypticon in Minneapolis, and then Ocean City Comic-Con in Ocean City. And now the cheerleader, I think my cachet has risen because I finally, the cheerleader reached out and she said, I'm ready to do the conventions. So we've just been texting back and forth. And I said, well, do you want to be with my agent? She said, yes. So my agent's just taken her on. So now to have both bathroom girls, I think will make it, both bathtub girls will make it even easier for my agent to get us in to conventions, and because then we could do them together, at the same table, and since to me the cheerleader drives that scene, she's so fucking crazy, and Leonora does a really good job with it, and we're both so different in real life and so different in that scene. So all of that's been exciting, and yeah, like you all were saying, just getting to meet the people who love Scream, and they always have different questions. If I weren't on air, I have one really juicy story, but I can't, and I'm not trying to be snooty like, hey, but when we're out,
like Al.
Yeah, we can't explain it.
You can tell us after the show.
Afterward,
Okay.
I'll tell you, because it's a good one. I have told people at the conventions, and I'm like, oh dear Lord, I swear, I'm like, you can't tell anyone you've heard this from me. And it's occurred to me, maybe it's not so good, but I like to be able to give some of the behind the scenes stuff, so I'll give you I think it's a juicy nugget. But that's in relation to in relation to the bathtub girl.
Let me ask you one final question, Nancy. With Scream 5 out this year, looking at it now, are you surprised by the staying power of the Scream, series, or are you not surprised because it's Wes Craven?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I guess I was surprised. I guess I thought Scream died when Wes passed away, so I thought that was it for Scream. So then when these new young filmmakers wanted to pay tribute to Wes Craven through Scream 5, I thought that was amazing. But I wasn't surprised. I mean, I think to have Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Neve Campbell, which I can't believe they killed David Arquette. Like, I loved seeing him as that old grizzled Dewey, and just
I hated that death.
I hated that. It felt like he
worst.
Almost requested it, like one of those. I love coming back to this character. I've seen it before. It's like, I love coming back to this character, but I'd like my own closure. So you don't keep asking me for sequels until I'm dead.
Right. And this is the thing.
It felt like one of those heroic deaths, like he was very thumbs up about.
I didn't think about it in that way.
Well, this is the thing too. And it's like, I'm not saying this is true for every single actor, but after being in, so many sequels back to back to back, you kind of say, well, I love this character, but I want to go out either as a hero or a villain, either one, So, and I know a lot of the fans were not thrilled with David Arquette's character's death. So that kind of turned them off of this last Scream. It's like, nope. But yeah. But I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
What are you working on now?
Okay. I'm going to be, so the one little film in
Youngstown, right?
And then there's another independent horror film called One of One and the two filmmakers are Mark and Donna Byrne. And they've done a lot of independent horror films. And that's a fun little part. And then there are two young filmmakers doing not a remake of Night of the Living Dead, but kind of a continuation of Night of the Living Dead. And this is the first time I play a mother, and I don't like it. Because when I never played a mother character, so it's so embarrassing, because I still feel like I'm 15 years old, just like within me. And when I stopped acting with the ex-husband, that was like when I was 30, so it's just weird. But anyways, then so that it'll be called Night of the Living Dead, but it's a continuation. And then the movie that I have a big part in is called The Only Ones, and that'll start shooting the end of September in West Virginia. So the first three are smaller parts, but fun characters, and all horror film. All of them are independent horror films, and then the big one is that one in September. But it'll be the first time I haven't acted in a long time, so I'm excited just to get back on set. And I do act. I do role play every day with my mom. Like, I do characters to make my mom and dad laugh, but no, it'll be nice to just be back on set and to get to create a character and be with other actors. And
I'm excited for you. It's great. Gonna be fun, and I fully expect to hear from you when these films are finished and coming back on the show and talking about them, right? We're going to promote them, and we're going to dissect them, and maybe there's a chance they wind up in our film festival.
Let me ask you, this is so embarrassing. The film in Ohio, the name of the movie is Samhain.
Sam Hain.
Okay, so that you do pronounce it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Samhain, but
I didn't want to butcher it. But yeah, it's called Sam Hain, and the writer-director, he's shown me some footage from it that I was really impressed with.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'll meet him in Ohio, and we'll do this scene that he's adding on to the movie. But yeah, all of this is because of Scream just within the last year. So it's interesting how things were quiet relating to Scream.
And you might get a call from your agent saying, the producers of Scream 6 have a part for you.
Well, the fans have been hilarious because some fans are like, your character, I'm going to call her Bathtub Girl because I just love Bathtub Girl should be Christina, the mother of Sam, whose skeet must have stooped. And then other people are like, no. So there's one fan base who says it should be Bathtub Girl. And then there's another group that says, no, it should be the cheerleader. And then another group says, well, Nancy Ann's not Latino, so it can't be Nancy Ann. But Radio Silence, the young filmmaker, says it's supposed to be someone from a character from, now I could have heard it wrong, but from Scream. And it would have to be the first Scream because Scream 2, I think they're already in college and he would have made this baby during high school. So I just think it's hilarious that there are some hardcore fans that are like, it has to be the Bathroom Girl. And then everyone different fans have different theories. And so that to me is super fun, or to at the very least bring it. I always thought, if they get up to Scream 30, then they could bring me and the cheerleader out with walkers, going into the bathroom with our walkers and then exiting the bathroom with our walkers or our canes, or no, me pushing the cheerleader in the wheelchair. But we were two of the very few people who survived the first one. So, and I never knew how much legacy characters mean, even small parts like my bathroom. I don't look at the cheerleader as a small part, really, because she's got so much of the juicy dialogue, but I look at my part as a small part, and just, meeting the fans at conventions, they consider the Bathroom Girl a legacy character, just like any of the others. So and how fun, they just think it would be so fun to have anyone back from that first Scream appear.
Someone will give you a call and say, Nev Campbell's requesting that that Nancy Ann Ritter comes back. The Bathroom Girl.
But
I'll do the
film
if she comes back.
Future movies,
Yes.
Nancy. I hope.
Say again.
I hope you have
Anthony.
fun in all your future movies, Nancy. It sounds like good fun. And who knew that this one role that you had that you didn't even think too much of, it's just like, I have bills to pay, will turn out to be a springboard for your success, visiting conventions and scoring these new roles. So congratulations, and we hope to hear from your future work.
Yes, and also, Nancy, before you go, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you if they're looking for you?
If you're looking for a good time, find me on Instagram. It's just my name, Nancy Ann Ritter, Nancy, Anne, and then I'm double D's, so Ridder instead of T, Ritter. So often you see R-E-R. And then Facebook is the same thing, just my name, Nancy Ann Ritter. So
amazing.
I just started Instagram a little while ago, and I'm learning social media, just getting more active in it. So I'm still kind of a virgin.
Yes. So take it easy on her, guys.
Don't pop that cherry too hard. Go easy. But those are the two ways. And thank you guys so much for having me on this. I've loved talking to 4 of you.
Al, why don't you close it out for us?
Well, thank you, everyone. And remember to keep America strong. Watch horror films.
That's our show, everyone. Enjoy horror. Thank you, Nancy, very much. A spirited conversation.
Fantastic job, Nancy.
Fantastic classic, baby.
You guys have a good night.
You too. Night night.